Hi, it's Kamala Harris. How you doing?
Vice President Harris, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, morning hustle.
Well, it is not every day that history is made out here in these streets, but you're a history maker who makes new things happen every day. I go by the name of Head Crack. This is my partner in crime.
L'Oreal, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I know we got a little bit of time, so let's get it because so many people have so much to ask you.
Okay, let's get going.
President Biden said he was fortunate to have your advice in regards to Judge Ketanji Jackson's nomination. Now, is there any possibility that she may not be confirmed as the first Black woman Supreme Court justice?
I will do everything in my power to ensure that Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson becomes the next Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. She will be, as history, I am certain will write, one of the strongest and the most meaningful members of that court who happens to be a Black woman. And I also am clear about the fact that when you look at the history of the work of that court and how it directly impacts our lives, it is immense. One of my heroes in life was the great Thurgood Marshall, who served on the United States Supreme Court, and who, leading up to that time, was responsible for the case called Brown v. Board of Education that desegregated America's schools. You look at the decisions that that court makes that have a profound impact on whether or not we have a society that treats all people equally and speaks to the real people and speaks in a way that understands the experience of real people. The power is immense. And Ketanji Brown, she comes from a family where her parents were first in their family to go to college. Both of them went to HBCUs. She had a debate coach in high school who convinced her she could be and do anything.
Wow.
And that is what convinced her to be on the debate team. And one day they debated at Harvard. And she went there, and her coach said, you could go here any day. And in spite of all the forces in her life that suggested she couldn't be and do what she dreamed of being, she did it. And she's now about to be the first Black woman on the United States Supreme Court. So I know that we all are so proud of what we are on the cusp of doing. And like I said, I will do everything in my power to see this through. And I know that your listeners will join because there's just so much at stake. And let me just also add, you mentioned President Joe Biden. You know, when he ran for president, he said, when I become president, if you vote for me, I'll put a Black woman on the Supreme Court.
Yes, he
and
did.
he's followed through on that promise. But the only way he was able to follow through on the promise is because folks voted. And so let's also remember, when you vote, you're more likely to get the things you want.
For those that just joined us, we're talking to Vice President Kamala Harris. And if you're watching any level of news, even social media, you're seeing everything that's going on right now in the Ukraine. Break it down in layman's terms for people who don't understand what's going on and how can this directly affect the people of the United States.
So Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically, that's wrong. And it goes against everything that we stand for. There are terms that we use. We say, we respect the sovereignty, the territorial integrity of countries, right? Their independence. Russia has gone into Ukraine militarily, unprovoked, with no justification other than to exercise its power to take over another country. So essentially, that's what's at stake. And we as America are saying that's wrong, and we will stand with Ukraine in saying that that is wrong. But that's essentially where we are. That's essentially the issue. And when it comes to what we know to be principles of fairness, we know that what Russia is doing is wrong. When it comes to what needs to happen then, well, there needs to be severe consequence and accountability. And that's why you'll hear on the news that we talk about sanctions, which is basically having Russia pay a financial cost to the point that we can have a real impact, put a real hurt on their economy as a consequence for their bad behavior, which is resulting in the loss of innocent lives. And that's where we are. That's what the issue is, essentially.
And some people did question those sanctions because they said that you had a conflicting opinion against President Joe Biden. He said that the sanctions were put in place to prevent anything from happening, and you said the opposite. So which one is it?
We had sanctions before the actual invasion. We threatened sanctions to hopefully deter Russia from going in. So we basically, like if you're a parent and you tell your children, well, if you do this, the punishment is going to be that, right? And we hope that by doing that, it will deter our children from doing the wrong thing, right? So that's deterrent. So that's where we started with the sanctions. But then when Russia actually went in, we are now implementing the sanctions.
Right.
Understood.
So putting them in place.
Okay.
Now, Vice President Harris, there's a lot of young Americans who are worried that maybe at some point, maybe a draft might have to be initiated. Let's just say if we do have to put boots on the ground and gear up if Russia gets some of its, evil homeboys in on the action, right? What's the likelihood of that?
There has been no discussion about a draft. And I will tell you also that our position right now is that we're not sending American troops into Ukraine. We are supplying them with weaponry. We are supplying them with what we call humanitarian aid, meaning whatever help we can give the families there in terms of their daily lives.
Right.
But we do not intend to put American troops on the ground in Ukraine in this war.
With that being said, we appreciate your time.
Yes.
We appreciate your energy. Vice President Harris, continue to do that great work out there and, keeping everybody accountable, man. Like, every time they throw it up, you knock it out the park and it gets done. Everything from the college debt stuff to getting the first black woman in the Supreme Court alongside President Joe Biden. One time, y'all, for Oakland, California's own Vice President Kamala Harris.
Thank you, Head Crack and L'Oreal. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
All right, much love.
All right, to you too. Bye-bye.
We are the Morning Hustle.